Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome, man. Welcome to Beyond Classic. Today, we are going to be featuring a complimentary quad, a quad featuring the music of the Smiths. And I have heard of the Smiths, but I don't know their music. So the songs we're going to be featuring today, man, starting with Heaven Knows I'm Miserable Now, followed by I Don't Owe You Anything, followed by This Night Has Opened My Eyes, and then finally, How Soon Is Now. So man, first off, before I pop this off, I just want to give a shout out and a thanks very much to Jameson. Jameson, thank you very much for the quad. Thank you very much for the links provided. He's also left a note here. Jameson says, "Hey STB, so I've got my first quad for the new channel for you. I remember we both briefly spoke about the Smiths a while ago, and you mentioned that you're not aware of the band's music. So I'd like to introduce you to their music and what they offer. It's quite difficult for me to choose just 4 songs to begin with because of their stellar catalog, but I've narrowed it down to my favorites so that you can begin the journey. Their music has a sound that is all their own due to the musicianship, but also Johnny Marr's signature guitar tones. And to accompany the music are, in my opinion, some of the greatest lyrics to be written for songs by Morrissey and his very recognizable voice. Hope you enjoy. Peace." Okay, Jameson, thank you, man. I appreciate that. Thank you for providing the links as well. So, let's pop this off, man. Starting with Heaven Knows I'm Miserable Now. The Smiths, Heaven Knows I'm Miserable Now. Let's get it.
Happy in the haze of a drunken hour, but heaven knows I'm miserable now. I was looking for a job and then I found a job, and heaven knows I'm miserable now. In my life, why do I give valuable time to people who don't care if I entwine, pass me by, and heaven knows I'm miserable now. I was looking for a job and then I found a job, and heaven knows I'm miserable now. In my life, oh why do I give valuable time to people who don't care if I what she asked of me at the end of the day, Caligula would have blushed. Oh, you've been in the house too long, she said, and I naturally fled. In my life, why do I smile at people who I'd much rather kick in the eye? I was happy in the haze of a drunken hour, but heaven knows I'm miserable now. Oh, you've been in the house too long, she said, and I naturally fled.
Okay. Heaven knows I'm miserable now. So that's the Smiths. That's what they look like. That's what they sound like. Okay. It's got a good sound to them. 80s band, obviously. At the helm of their music, it's apparent that there's a very, very intelligent, creative force there. I mean, you listen to the lyrics of that song. That's a very, very strong message. Now, it's wrapped and surrounded around by a really nice sounding flair and uplifting, upbeat tempo, something you can dance to and not even think about if you're in a party atmosphere or whatnot. But at the heart of it all, it's very good composition and very, very relatable shit. I'm telling you, I mean, if a whole bunch of people sat and listened to those lyrics, I bet you a couple of people would probably bring a tear to their eye, because now they're thinking about their lives or relating to somebody's life that they know, who can relate to the message of this song. But very, very well marketed. I'll give them that, because obviously this song is, I bet you, a very popular song in their lineup, and it can appeal to many because of how it's packaged, how it can fit in the 80s pop era, the dance element, the dance environment, party environment. And yeah, man, it's just easy, really cool listening. Like when I was growing up in the 80s and Friday night videos, Much Music, MTV videos would come on, that is something that I'll be chilling out with when I get home from school after a stupid ass day. I would sit back and I would chill, and I'd have some of those videos saved on a VCR, put in my old beta. Yeah, in the days of the damn beta, then quickly replaced by VHS. And I would just sit there and I would just watch the tunes, preset the VCR, recorded it, because a lot of those video shows used to come on late at night, man. And I wasn't allowed to stay up that late. So then, after I came home, it was a ritual to sit, pop in my VHS, and just chill for a while and watch it, And I was the only one in the house at the time, and it would be cool. So I'd have a decent hour and a half to myself. And then everybody else would get home, and then, my mom's music would go on in the rec room, and then my dad's music would go on, and then that's it. That's the time I had for myself. Good times, man, good times. So listening to the Smiths, watching this video, kind of getting the feel for the 80s era, it took me right back to that. Good song, good musicians, excellent singer, composer, whoever it was that composed this track. Let's get to know the Smiths a little bit more, man. Get to know this song a little bit better. Okay. Heaven Knows I'm Miserable Now. Heaven Knows I'm Miserable Now is a song by English rock band The Smiths, released as a single in May of '84. It reached number 10 in the UK singles chart. It was later included in the November '84 compilation album Hatful of Hollow. It's listed as one of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame's 500 songs that shaped rock and roll. Yeah, oh man, see? To make that list, you have to have made some sort of an impact, culturally, socially. And it's just like I was saying, this song, even though it is disguised with all of the great high pop feel and the dance feel and the party feel to it and whatnot, it carries a strong message. And that's the impact. That's what put it on this list, right? Background. The music was written by Johnny Mohr in an hour in a New York hotel room on the 2nd of January in '84 on a red Gibson ES 355 guitar that was bought for him that day by Seymour Stein. After finishing the song, he then wrote the music for B-side, Girl Afraid, the same evening, and considers the two songs a pair. Okay. The song is notable for marking the beginning of producer Stephen Street's working relationship with the band. As one of his first roles as in-house engineer at Island Records' Fallout Shelter Studios, Street engineered the session. He was well aware of the band and excited by the prospect, saying in a Hit Quarters interview, quote, I'd seen them just shortly beforehand on Top of the Pops doing This Charming Man, and like most other people around that time who were into music, I was really excited by them, unquote. Street says his enthusiasm must have rubbed off on Morrissey and Johnny Marr because they would take his name and number. Alright. The single was the subject of some controversy upon its release due to its B-side, Suffer Little Children, which is about the Mohr's murders between 63 and 65. Cultural reference. Journalist Andrew Collins borrowed the song's title for the name of his autobiographical book, Heaven Knows I'm Miserable Now, My Difficult Student 80s, published in 2004. That's a long-ass title for a book. Heaven Knows I'm Miserable Now, My Difficult Student 80s. Okay. Alright, so that is Wikipedia Song Fact Info on Heaven Knows I'm Miserable Now. Good song, man. Very good song. Let's check out our second track, man. And that being I Don't Owe You Anything. The Smiths, I Don't Owe You Anything. Let's get it.
Bought some stolen wine. A nod was the first step. You knew very well what was coming next. Stolen wine. Oh, a nod was the first step. You knew very well what was coming next. Did I really walk home this way just to hear you say, oh, I don't want to go out tonight. Oh, I don't want to go out tonight. Oh, but you will, for you must. I don't owe you anything, no, but you owe me something. Repay me now. You should never go to them. Let them come to you, just like I do, just like I do. You should not go to them. Let them come to you, just like I do, just like I do. But did I really walk home this way just to hear you say, oh, I don't want to go out tonight. Oh, I don't what will make you smile tonight. Life is never kind. Life is never kind. Oh, but I know what will make you smile tonight.
Great singer. Very nice. Very nice. Their style, to a certain extent, a very certain extent, is making me think of some just shades of the style of the Kinks a little bit in some of their harmonies, the melodies, the way it flows and everything. And amidst all of it, there is a message there. There is something being said. The Kinks, some of their videos that I've seen have a lot of fun, have a lot of things to catch the eye. The charismatic showmanship of the two brothers, I believe it's Dave, especially the younger one, can distract you from the message behind the music. Because just like the Smiths here, especially with the video, the first one, you know, there's a lot to look at, catch your eye. If you are actually there, you can move and you can dance and all that. But there's a message there. There is something that they're trying to say. And again, this song, just like the first one, relatable subject matter. A lot of people have the opinion, and I understand, that it's a fool's errand to be trying to dissect lyrics and listen to lyrics. It might be the case, but where it comes to me approaching reaction videos, and especially on my classic rock platform, because it's music that I am not very, very well versed in, I definitely like to dissect lyrics. I know sometimes, and I think I've grown an intuition when I should not even try to dissect lyrics. Like if I'm listening to Yes, holy cow, man, that I know that I gotta shut my brain off. I've learned to do that with some bands because I know that that definitely is a fool's errand. So I know when to shut my brain off and when to turn it on in regards to dissecting lyrics. I would be paying a serious amount of attention to the music of the Smiths for that. I pay a lot of attention to the music of the Kinks, and it doesn't matter how flashy and flary and dancey or whatever it is. I know that there's a message there, and the same thing. The Smiths, they're striking me as that same piece of cloth cut from, let's say, the Kinks. You know what I'm saying? So, what do you think of that comparison? And apologies if I don't know, I insult somebody with that. With almost every with almost every impression, with almost every statement I make, there is somebody out there who always has an issue with what I've just said, and they'll take me to task for it. So, you know, hopefully it kind of sweeps a lot of that just by kind of saying, hey, apologies ahead of time. You got to be so damn politically correct in this day and age. Everybody is just so uptight, so easy to be offended, so quick to, I don't know, jump on things, to defend things, to just be crazy about things. Let's get a little background on I Don't Owe You Anything, man. I Don't Owe You Anything appears on the album The Smiths. Okay, it's all album info. The Smiths is the self-titled debut studio album by English rock band The Smiths, released on the 20th of February in '84 by the Rough Trade Records. After the original production by Troy Tate was felt to be inadequate, John Porter re-recorded the album in London, Manchester, and Stockport during breaks in the band's UK tour during September of '83. The album was well received by critics and listeners and reached number 2 on the UK albums chart, staying on the chart for 33 weeks. It established the Smiths as a prominent band in the 80s music scene in the UK. The album also became an international success, peaking at number 45 in the European albums chart, remaining in the chart for 21 weeks. After its exit of the European chart, it then re-entered in the Hot 100 albums from September for another run of 3 weeks. Reception and legacy. Slant Magazine listed the album at 51 on its list of best albums of the 1980s, saying, quote, "There's no reason why a mardant, sexually frustrated disciple of Oscar Wilde, who loved punk but crooned like a malfunctioning Sinatra, shouldn't have teamed up with a fabulously inventive guitarist whose influences were so diffuse that it could be hard to hear them at all, and formed one of the greatest songwriting duos of the 80s, unquote. Pop Matters included the album on their list of the 12 essential alternative rock albums from the 80s, saying, quote, "Morrissey's career are fully accounted for on the Smiths, where they are rendered all the more piercing by Johnny Marr's delicate guitar picking and John Porter's stark production," unquote. Wow, man, these guys are really accomplished. In '89, the album was ranked number 22 on Rolling Stone magazine's list of the 100 greatest albums of the 80s. In 2003, the album was number 481 on that magazine's list of the 500 greatest albums of all time. Damn. Hatful of Hollow. That's the album. Hatful of Hollow is a compilation album by English rock band The Smiths, released on the 12th of November, 1984 by Rough Trades Records. Okay, I read that already. Sorry, I've got 2 windows open. Alright, so let us bounce to our next track, man. And that being This Night Has Opened My Eyes. Alright, The Smiths, This Night Has Opened My Eyes. Let's get it.
In a river the color of lead, immerse the baby's head, wrap her up in the news of the world, dump her on a doorstep, girl. This night has opened my eyes, and
Again, definitely the message behind their music. Story being told, good storytellers, and the music really gives the singer the platform to tell his tale, to share his thoughts, the main idea. The message to share is what is the big focus of this. Of course, they've got good musicianship. I like their sound. I like their really, really nice bass groove and everything. That's just basically tying the song together and taking it. But overall, yeah, man, these guys are really, really good storytellers, and there's a message behind the music. I like that. I like bands about that. I like the Kinks for that, for example. And they've got that sound to me, you know. All right, so let us do a little background, man. Okay. And this night has opened my eyes. It's more album info rather than song info. This night has opened my eyes appears on the album Hatful of Hollow. Hatful of Hollow reached number 7 on the UK albums chart and stayed on the chart for 46 weeks. In 2000, Q magazine placed the album at number 44 on its list of the 100 greatest British albums ever. Composition. The album consists mainly of songs recorded over several BBC Radio 1 sessions in '83. When first broadcast, these radio sessions mainly featured songs which were otherwise unavailable. All were subsequently re-recorded for singles or for the following year's debut album. This Night Has Opened My Eyes was recorded in the studio in June of '84, but the only version ever released was the September Peel session. The album also features the band's debut single, Hand in Glove, and their 2 most recent singles prior to the album's release, Heaven Knows I'm Miserable Now and William, It Was Really Nothing, with their B-sides, Girl Afraid, How Soon Is Now, and Please 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 Let Me Get What I Want. How Soon Is Now would receive a separate single release in '85 in the UK and the US. It reached number 24 in the British charts. How Soon Is Now was also featured on the soundtrack to the 1986 film Out of Bounds. Okay, and with that said, man, let's check out our last track, that being How Soon Is Now. The Smiths, How Soon Is Now. Let's get it. Video.
The sun and the air of a shyness that is criminally vulgar. I am the sun and air of nothing in particular. You shut your mouth, how can you say I go about things the wrong way? I am human and I need to be loved, just like everybody else does. I am the sun and the air of a shyness that is criminally vulgar. I am the sun and air of nothing in particular. You shut your mouth, how can you say I go about things the wrong way? I am human and I need to be loved, you go and you stand on your own, and you leave on your own, and you go home and you cry and you want to die.
All right, man. Another good tune. Another relatable tune. Going through the challenges of courtship, meeting somebody, wooing someone, the uncertainty, the life of quiet desperation, all of those things, man, in a relationship, or trying to establish the foundation in a relationship. Yet again, another relatable topic, relatable subject matter, and a message behind the music. Behind the music being, even though, again, it's packaged in a form of a really nice kind of a club mix, a dance affair, there is definitely a message being told. I like that, man. All right. So, How Soon Is Now? I had already read a little bit about it because it's on the same album as the previous track, This Night Has Opened My Eyes. So it also appears on Hatful of Hollow. And yeah, I'd read on the bottom part there that How Soon Is Now would receive a separate single release in '85 in the UK and the US, reaching number 24 on the British charts. And it was also featured on the soundtrack of the '86 film Out of Bounds. Don't think I've ever heard of that movie, Out of Bounds. I wonder who stars in that. Yeah, hey man, so this is a really, really good look at the Smiths, man. Over the last little while, I was thinking, between the time that I spoke with Jameson and now, the sound of the name The Smiths is a little bit more familiar to me. So I'm saying, yes, I've heard of the Smiths, but yeah, man, I have no idea of what their sound is like, what the music is like. And when I first heard Heaven Knows I'm Miserable Now, I was trying to search my mind for something familiar, but it caught me by surprise because I was expecting, I don't know, something else completely, but in a good way. This is a very, very good sound. And again, I draw likeness to shades of the Kinks in a way, in some of their music approaches, some of their the style in which they have a really good sounding beat going forward, but there's a message behind it all. And the sound of the singing and the verbiage gives me a little feel of shades of the Kinks. That was an excellent quad. Great assembly of songs, man. I really like them. The Smiths. All right. So Jameson, thank you very much for this, man. Let me just scroll down before I bounce here. Yeah, so going forward, man, coming up on the platform, as promised, got some disco jam coming, Soul Train, of course, some punk rock coming, a little reggae jam. I know Santana is in the shoot, some Latin fusion jams coming up as well. Basically, a little bit of everything is coming up, man. I can't remember who it is that's compiling a little bit of classical and some more jazz. John, you started something with the whole jazz thing, brother. But yeah, man, there's a bit of everything coming up, basically. You know, don't be surprised when the next reaction might be Metallica. And then after that, it's REM, or after that, it's Bee Gees. You know what I mean? So it's a mixed bag of everything outside of classic rock. And when I say classic rock, I'm specifically more targeting the timeline, mid 60s to mid 80s. That's what I structure my classic rock platform time-wise around. And so usually stuff that's a little bit outside of that, either in date or the genre sound specific, heavy guitar led, that sort of thing. I usually like to save it for this platform so that there's no basis for contention. I talked about the sensitivity thing and, that sort of stuff. So I'm glad that this platform exists, man. So I don't have to go through that daily. It was a daily struggle. So, Jameson, thank you again. I appreciate this quad. This was a very, very nice quad and a great intro to an excellent band. Actually, you know what? Hang on a sec, man. Before I bounce, let us indulge me a little bit here. I know I'm going in reverse. I should have read this at the top of it all, but let's take a look at the Smiths, man. There's a paragraph here kind of outlining their, I guess, better years. So let's just do a little profile read. I'm just going to Wikipedia here. The Smiths. The Smiths were an English rock band formed in Manchester in '82, consisting of vocalist Mohr, guitarist Johnny Mohr, bassist Andy Rourke, and drummer Mike Joyce. Critics consider the band one of the most important to emerge from the British independent music scene of the '80s. Internal tensions led to their breakup in '87, and subsequent offers to reunite have been refused. In 2012, all Smiths' albums, studio albums, and a compilation appeared on Rolling Stone's list of the 500 greatest albums of all time, while William, It Was Really Nothing, and How Soon Is Now were included in the 500 greatest songs of all times list. Based on the songwriting partnership of Mercy and Mohr, the Smiths focus on a guitar, bass, and drum sound and fusion of 60s rock and post-punk were a rejection of the synthesizer-based dance pop of the time. Mohr's Rickenbacker guitar work has reminiscent of the jangle pop sound of Roger McGuinn from The Byrds. Morrissey's complex literate lyrics combined themes of ordinary lives with mordant humor. Absolutely, yeah. The Smiths were signed to the independent label Rough Trade Records. Several Smith singles reached the top 20 of the UK singles chart, and all of their studio albums reached the top 5 of the UK albums chart, including the #1 album Meat is Murder in '85. They achieved mainstream success in Europe with The Queen is Dead in '86 and Strange Ways Here We Come in '87, both of which entered the top 20 of the European albums chart. Their live album Rank 1985 reached the top 10 in Europe. Okay, so that is a look at the Smiths. They're only around for a couple of years in the 80s, but they've definitely made a really good impression, and they've ranked very, very high on some of the best lists and everything like that. So, yeah, man, they did very, very good. And, I guess you don't have to be around forever to make a really good lasting impression. And they've made quite an impression. Good for them. All right. So that's it for me, man. Jameson, thanks again. Take care. And I'll catch you in my next reaction. Peace.